13 flight controllers. Listen up. Give me a go, no go for launch. Booster.
Go.
Retro.
Go.
Vital.
We go fly.
Guidance.
Guidance go.
Procedures.
Go.
Inco.
Go.
FAO.
We are go.
Capcom.
We're go flight.
Launch control, this is Houston. We are go for launch.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to tonight's entertainment.
What's going on, everybody? Thanks for stopping in. We got us a guest here, Everything HVACR. His name is Steve. I won't give him his last name because, you know, he's in the witness program, kind of like me, unless he wants to throw it out there. So
Smith, man. I could have made that up anywhere.
Yeah, exactly, man. His name is Joe Smith.
I'm sure he's pretty hard to find anyways.
Yeah, he's in the witness program. So
I ain't hiding from nobody. Come find me.
You got someone wanting to be on camera already to say hi to all the beautiful people out there.
She's wanting to get, so I thought I'd say hi to some of the guys out there.
You know, you keep telling her to get a job, so she's you know, working, trying to market herself with her French modeling gig.
Yeah, I mean, if anybody has any collars or little vests that they need modeled or something.
She looks really good in a blush pink.
Barely a year old, so she's got some life in her yet. So
she's very, very frisky.
Yep.
Very, has lots of energy.
Lots of sass and doesn't listen.
Yes.
So.
And will work for treats.
I got one.
Yeah.
I got one like that. She's about 40 pounds more, probably.
Yeah, you said you got 4 of them dogs, didn't you?
Yeah, 3 big ones.
Yeah, they're
Lab retrievers and husky shepherd.
They'll protect your tools. That way nobody gets into your stuff.
There you go.
Yeah, ain't nobody coming in the house, that's for sure.
So it looks like we got a few guys in here. What's up? What's up? What's up, Ted?
We got John that just did some great trigger control.
Absolutely.
Just subbed.
Rich GT, my man, what's going on? And Dave, and what else we got? Weaver maintenance in there, sweet. Who else we got? Sledgehammer.
Pro Season.
Yep.
Rich, I saw Samuel in here earlier.
Yep, little Sam, he's in here somewhere.
He's always like one of the first few people in, it seems like.
Yeah, you got to get it in and get it good. So how's everyone doing out there tonight? You guys have a good weekend? Is it warm where you're at? I mean, you know, we're up here in the north, so it's a little bit cool up here. It was like 60, 62, so I got some riding in today on the motorcycle, which was nice.
Been beautiful here. It's been 65, 70 degrees. We've been had the doors open all day. Finally getting outside and doing some stuff.
Yeah, you said you're working in the garage.
Yeah, getting things straightened up.
Yep. So
you guys already have a request.
What's the request?
So Pro C, he said, "Yo, Rick, can you talk about meters you use and what you recommend?"
What do you use, Steve?
Company provides a field piece. I think it's an HS36, pretty basic meter. I've been looking into the what is it, the SC4 460, something like that from Field Piece.
460,
kind of a Field
440,
Piece
something
guy.
like that.
I like my
yeah.
Field Piece.
And you know, like I've showed before, my very first meter is that one right back here on the back. That's the first stick meter. And that was my first true HVAC meter. And I had that thing forever. I mean, it didn't have anything fancy on it, but you could just change the things. But for me, I've carried, like currently in my truck, I carry a Fluke 87.5, which is overkill for most things we do, unless you're an industrial. I use that more for my generators because it had the frequency and stuff. I have the Fluke 902 FC, which you see in the videos all the time. I have the Fluke 362, which is their top of the line one with the built-in frequency, and it's got the iFlex current thing. I don't hardly ever use that meter because it's too pretty. I don't want to get it dirty.
Oh boy.
Yeah, it's just too pretty for that stuff.
I like the phase rotation that the Field Piece can do. Makes it nice.
I've got a amp probe to do that, but I don't hardly use that thing anymore, and I have a dedicated amp probe or a dedicated phase rotation meter, and then I have a Fluke 117 that I picked up brand new, like cheap on Facebook Marketplace. So those are the main ones I carry on my truck. Any of them are fine. If you're just doing HVAC, any of the 100 series Flukes are fine. If you want to spend a little more money, like the 179, That's a good one, but if you want the amp clamp stuff, I'd go to either the 902, like the one I got, but you're still going to need another meter to get some of your higher resistances and things like that. So they just got it with the Fluke. They don't give you a lot of extras, but they usually work. So yeah, that's a drawback. But the field piece stuff's good. I mean, you get a lot of bang for your buck, and they stand behind their product really well. So nothing wrong with them at all. I'm just kind of a weirdo. And they came out with a lot of new stuff here in the last probably 10 years that's more accurate than they've ever been. So, I mean, that's why I didn't have them from back then. They didn't use
No doubt. I mean, just like the probes and the digital gauges that everybody was so scared of for so long.
I know when I got mine, I was discouraged because I was like, man, this was a waste of money because their app was horrible. And that was the only way you could use them. Then when they finally came out with the...
Break.
Measure quick.
Yeah, that made everything go.
Hello, we're streaming here, Rick. Do not let her up here.
I thought it was cute.
No, it's not.
She just wanted to join the show.
Exactly. She wanted to strut.
She was giving them a show.
She wanted to strut back and forth. She won't sit down.
That was not ladylike.
She won't sit down.
She wants my pop.
Well.
No Pepsi for you. Speaking of which, where is Pepsi? I haven't seen him in here yet.
Yeah, no Pepsi Cola.
Not.
Maybe
we
he's
got 43 in here.
That ain't bad. 46 now.
Oh, here's a new name. Neil Vester Victor. I've not seen that name before.
He's been leaving comments and stuff quite a bit on the videos. So
okay, cool.
He's a viewer.
I've seen him some too. Yes.
Welcome.
Yep.
It looks like Laskus has a question for you, Steve. He says he's asking if you put those maxi covers on the regulators with vent issues.
Yes, the Maxitrol always. I don't know. I think it's code on the West Coast, but there's no code out here. For some reason, we find random things for our vent regulator covers, and it's black iron pipe. I've seen them look like aluminum sink connectors, just random stuff. There's no code to say that it has to have. If it doesn't have anything, they turn them on their sides. It's just nothing. It's not ever the same.
Are we talking about like the vent out of it or what?
The regulator vent, yes.
There's a cover.
I think they make a cover. It's just screws in the vent, and I like the Maxitrol. They're just plastic, and it just gives it a little hood so it doesn't fill up with water or ice or whatever.
Gotcha.
Gives it some hood.
Everybody needs a little hood. I've seen
I couldn't resist. Sorry.
Inside, I've noticed they just kind of vent them outside and things like that with black iron pipe or something. I did get something interesting on a regulator. This one here was built. It was a big one for like a Cleaver Brooks boiler. We just installed a 90% or what have you, high 80s almost. It was mounted vertical, which is usually fine, but this one wouldn't work vertical. It had to be put horizontal. The gas pressure wouldn't work right. You ever had that before?
Not so much, but I know they are particular about each manufacturer of the regulators are particular about how you're supposed to situate them.
Yeah, it was kind of a weird thing. They had to come back and change it and stuff and reposition it, and everything worked out fine. She's going to take a seat over there on the chair. That's fine with me.
I know, but look where she instantly goes. It's her little perch.
Yep. Well, that's good for her.
The problem we saw out of that I've seen a lot is, I said the aluminum, is they put them so close to the units, and you've got this aluminum regulator vent, and it goes up and, goosenecks down, but it's right in front of the exhaust of the heater, so it condensates and causes it to freeze up. And we've had many fail, and it's like it's plumbers that do it, and they just don't know what they're doing.
Don't they have to be so many feet away from exhaust and air intake and stuff like that?
Well, this is the combustion exhaust from the unit itself, and I don't know if there's a code on that either, honestly.
So this is factory installed. Factory
Well,
installed regulator.
I think the plumbers end up doing the gas lines, and that's how it ends up happening, because the plumbers end up being, required to do everything outside of the unit.
Gotcha. Because I seen one of your ones that was on a makeup air unit, and it looks like the one that I did I did it last year. It was the first time I ever worked on one. It looked just like the one. It was a makeup air, but it wasn't direct fired. It had a heat exchanger in the front, and if it was like the one I had, it had two sets of burners, two different gas valves. I don't know how old that video was. I seen it in one of yours. I thought it was fairly recent, but maybe it wasn't. You know which one I'm
And this
talking
is
about?
this was a makeup error. I'm not sure.
Yeah, it was.
Oh, is that the Green Heck, the startup?
I think so. Yeah.
I did a startup on one of those. Yeah.
Did it have air conditioning
Uh,
on it too?
Yes, it did. Yes.
Yep, that's the
It
same
was
one I
tied
did.
in. It was tied in the exhaust of the lab. That's yeah, I do remember that one.
Yeah,
The
that was.
Green Heck has a nice setup.
Yeah, all this stuff seems to be pretty good. That one there, I didn't know how it worked at first, and it was a weird instance because they were doing a lot of batches of food product. I think they were bringing them out of like a fryer, and when they bring them out, it was like all kinds of heavy steam and stuff came out, and it was super cold outside, and they needed to run the air conditioner, and there was some, I forget, normally you'd need heat, and it was going into air conditioning, and it was just throwing everything off, and the sensor was downstairs was the problem. And I forget, I think we went back and changed that, but for right now, I made it local instead of remote.
So just so you both know, John McMasters is man crushing on Steve here.
Good.
He was like, "Hey, badass, you got that dude on," and is what he's saying to you, Rick. And then after that, he said, "Dude's got a dope channel."
He does have a good channel. That's the reason why I kind of hit him up, said, hey, because, it's hard sometimes to check everybody else out and see what's going on out there. You kind of get in your own little world. And I checked out some of his stuff, and I'm like, hey, he's doing the similar stuff I'm doing, and he's doing good work. So I want to help him out if I can. Not that I'm that big of a channel, but I thought, hey, we'll bring him on here and interview him, because a lot of times you just hear the voice and you don't get to see the face, and it's like, well, let's run him through here.
I appreciate it. Yes. I got a lot of comments the last time because I showed my masked face, but there were a lot of comments
that's what it
about
was.
me
Everybody's
showing my
like,
face
finally,
for the
we get to
first
see the face or
Yeah,
something.
yeah.
And I'm like, yeah, because I'm like, who the heck is this person? Because you never know. It's like, some people have to wear, glasses, masks. You just don't know what they're hiding underneath there. So I was like, hey, that'd be a cool thing. So I was like, yeah, cool, bring him on. And he even had a good camera and had a good microphone. I was like, this is a go. So.
And this really isn't what Rick looks like. He's wearing a mask.
Yeah.
This is all fake.
Yep, it's all fake.
Fake news.
Scooby-Doo gonna walk in here and demask me here before you know it. So you never know. So me and Steve got talking about some little stuff, and we were just kind of just getting to know each other. And we thought, well, we're gonna save some of that so that you guys can eavesdrop on our conversation. And then if you guys want to ask questions and stuff, throw them in the comment section and things like that. So, because you've got quite a few videos up, and you said you've been doing it about a year now.
Yeah, I mean, it's been less than a year, honestly. I was doing something in my house. I'm not a social media guy. I'm not. I wasn't YouTube. I mean, earlier, my wife's in here helping me get on the computer. So my Google search history, I guess, from work pulled up an HVAC video, and I thought, man, this is cool. And I watched, and it was probably Chris or somebody, and I thought, man, that's cool. And then I watched a few more and went down that rabbit hole, and I got to thinking, man, I could do that. I see a lot of cool stuff out here.
Yeah.
Here we are, and who knew?
Exactly. I basically, when I started doing the refrigeration heavily, I needed extra help to get me going, and I started watching NorCal, and I started watching that Jim Pentinato. Those were the two guys I watched, and I didn't. And then before that, I watched Raritan every now and again. Stephen Raritan, and those were the only 2 or 3 that I knew, other than when I would want to find a tool or something I wanted to buy, like the vacuum gauge and stuff. I remember Eddie and what's the other guy that he hung out with? I'm trying to think of his name. Eddie and somebody else. I don't know. They were reviewing some of the different valve core removal tools and things like that. Because I mean, when I buy something, I want to buy something that's good, and that was kind of how I got into watching some of it. Because I mean, so that's kind of what I did. Fritz. There we go. Yep. But you're a different Eddie. You're Eddie the dog. So, at least as far as I know, you're Eddie the dog and not Eddie the other Eddie.
His picture's a dog, so that's
that's
Eddie
why I
the
call
dog.
him Eddie the dog. I call him E-Dog because that's what I used to call my boy. So I was like,
Talk in the house.
What's that? E-Dog? Yeah. So craziness.
Oh yeah, Shop Talk's on.
Yep, Fritz. Those guys don't really make anything anymore, I don't think. So I see them every now and again on here and stuff, which is kind of cool. But yeah, that's when I remember them comparing the C&D valve core tool, which is what I use all the time now. And I think they were comparing it possibly against the Appion, which I was big into Appion for a while, but then they started leaking and not holding my valve off and stuff. And I was like, what else is there? And then when I went to Stolding, when they were evacuating at the factory, the ice cream machines, I seen them using C&D, and I'm like, you know what? If it's good enough for these guys that are making sure it's done right, I'm going to try that out. And sure as crap, man, I've had really good luck out of those. So just about my second set.
C&D, but I continue to use the Appion. I haven't had any problems out of those.
I get, and on a bigger system, it's not so bad. You get on a small one, you valve that thing off, and you sit there, and it trickles. And it's like 0.1, 0.2, 0.3, then 0.1, then 0.4, 0.3. And it's like, come on, where's it leaking at? And yet, under pressure, it doesn't show anything. And basically, it's like, it's hard to find it. And I've been wanting to build me a test cylinder because, what if, you're testing it on your recovery tank? What if it's leaking around the valves, and you condemn it, and here it's really leaking around the valves. So I thought about building me, I got a big hunk of copper, probably about 4 inches in diameter, and I was going to build me a cylinder and then pull it on that and then test my tools to see if they're leaking. So I never got around to doing it, though.
You got
good idea, though.
Problems in your shorts there?
Why would you draw attention to it? You want to see?
No.
Exactly.
I'm good.
So you stay out of there.
Samuel's on now.
Sam, what's up, dog?
We called you out earlier, Samuel, and you weren't here.
Yep.
You let us down, bud.
Sam, you're about done with school, ain't you? Is this your last year, I think? No, he was 14, so you're probably, you got 2 more years to go.
He's got some time yet.
Yeah, he got some time yet. Ain't no reason why you can't work in the summertime, though.
I think he does.
Does he?
Probably.
Sam, do you work in the summertime? We got a lot of kids that work in the summertime.
We want to know.
Yeah.
And Residential Basics is on, and Zach from Shop Talk is on now.
Boom.
JD is on.
Sorry if I've been commenting, Zach, a lot on that 2.0 discussion there. It kind of...
Oh, let's not talk about that again.
The Bosch unit.
Oh, the Bosch
You're
from
talking
hell.
It's the Bosch from hell.
I've seen that.
Yeah,
I've seen his vacuum pump was last. The vacuum pump he's got's nice. Pretty cool.
Yeah, this was more on the unit. The one I seen the last time was the water was dripping out of his air handler. And it's like, I said some things and then the comments will come back later. And it's like, they came out, the factory did, and the rep, and they all came out, and it was one of them things where, hey, you take the video back down, we'll make sure this gets taken care of, but I never got any compensation for all the hours I spent on it, so it was one of them things where I kind of like just dropped it. They were going to give me a special deal on putting one in the house, but I'm like, I don't know if I want to deal with that.
I should be compensated for having to listen to you bitch about it.
Whatever, you freaking enjoy it. They gave me, I think it was either $250 a piece or maybe $500 a piece off or something. And it's like, I had like 50 hours, 45, 50 hours because I went back, I changed the coil, I went down in the crawl space again, went through stuff.
How many?
They wanted me to insulate the ducts.
How many chicken wings did my mom get you and feed you?
That don't help them out none, but
How many chicken wings went in that belly?
Yeah, whatever. It was a lot of trips back. It was a lot. I mean, it was like swinging at the wind too, because it's like, well, your drain light ain't pitched right, and it's like, dude, come on, really? It's horizontal. It goes out, and I literally took the drain line and put a clear plexi hose over it so I could see and monitor the water. Then they just decided, well, maybe we should drain from both sides of the coil. I'm like, what other coil do you have to drain from both sides? Then they're like, you ain't got it pitched enough. So I pitched it 1/4 of an inch to the front. I mean, it was like, okay, that didn't work. Now what do you want to do? What else do you want to guess at that ain't going to work? And then, it's like, I'm telling you, the thing that worked is I told that thing first stage was dehum on the furnace, which dropped it down to like 600 CFM. And then just, okay, now that's not keeping up. The temperature dropped 1/2 degree. Now I go to Y1, drop the dehum. And if the temperature drops another 1/2 degree, it takes it up to W2, which then brings me up to normal CFM. I cool the house off with the sensible load, and then it'll go back to staging, down staging, believe it or not, to get the latent heat, which the problem is the coil, it always starts over at 7,000 BTU and works its way back up. And it's like, why wouldn't you have made it so that It works its way up. Okay, now I ran longer, a little less, and it starts to reduce. But instead, they're just up, boom. So anyhow, that ain't why we're here to talk about it.
So there's
I,
another
I haven't
question.
dealt a whole lot with Bosch, but I've had good luck out of Greenspeed Carrier.
Oh yeah, I mean, and that's what we sell. So I mean, we sell the VNA and the green speed and all that. I'm used to high end communicating inside to outside. Everything's talking, you know, it knows what the inside's doing, and no problems. But I thought, cool, you know, I mean, the thing was like $2,000 cheaper to $3,000 cheaper than a Carrier. So I mean, it's like, hell yeah, let's try that out. I mean, it was only about $500 to $700 more than a Duquesne, which is, you know, Allied Air owns them. So it's like, why not? But yeah, what?
There's a question.
What is it?
So, Steve, Laska is asking, apparently there's some steam system you're working on. He wants to know how that's going.
Much better. It's obviously it's turned 60 degrees outside, so we're about ready to shut it down. But
Of course.
but I fixed it. The problem with the air vents, we had multiple problems. The steam wasn't necessarily my problem, but I made it my problem because I knew there was something going on there. Basically, nobody ever bled the air. Steam, the pressure stays on constant, so nobody bled the air from the beginning, and we were just backing up steam. Steam couldn't go anywhere. So once I got the air bled from the system, we were able to close the air vents. You know, because it's not a boiler at your house. You would have to have an air vent constantly bleeding. But once the air vents bled, we're basically going to have to do a shutdown and a startup every season. But I was able to lower the pressures running. That every building out there is running off 20 psi of steam now, when they were at 60 to 80.
Isn't that a lot?
Is that for production only? Or what are they using the steam for?
Well, that's the interesting thing, and that's why the steam's not really. We don't take care of the boilers. The boilers they're process boilers. It's a big manufacturing distillery, and they use the steam for their process, whatever that may be. We've got nothing to do with that either. I just take care of the heaters. So the steam from the boiler feeds the process, and it feeds a pressure reducing station that feeds all of my heaters. So when I found issues with some of the heaters, I dug in a little deeper, and that's what we ended up with. And it was just a lot of valves over years that, things leaked. People didn't know about it, and they shut valves and turned on things and off things. They didn't know what they were doing.
They say there's a lot of energy lost in steam boilers and stuff through leaks and other things like that and stuff. So I finally bought that book that everybody recommended from Dan Houlihan. So I got the spiral version of it. So hopefully I can learn some stuff, because that one steam boiler I showed, that building was probably made in the 20s or 30s area. And so, I kind of learned as I was going on that when I added some vents, and sure as crap, everything I just seen on his video of his interview was like, duh, I wish I would have known that. Because I had very limited experience with steam, and I work for a refrigeration company, so we really don't see a lot of it even now. Now, granted, one of the places we do the refrigeration for, same thing you're saying, they got 4 big old, multiple 4 million BTU Cleaver Brooks, but we don't take care of them. They're done by Cleaver Brooks out of Toledo or something. And they're running either between 150 and 300 pounds of pressure, but they are using it for peeling potatoes. So, it's the same scenario. We don't work on it.
That's what the boilers do here. They provide about 150 psi, and then they reduce it down to take care of whatever their process, and then the heaters. But I was in the same boat. When I got to the issues I was having, I went down that rabbit hole, and I started researching. That's the way to go, man. You gotta go. If you don't know something, go find it. It's all out there. And The Lost Art of Steam Heating it's an amazing book. And he's got those seminars on YouTube that I've watched, and it's I learned a lot.
Yeah, JD, that one that I showed was only running about, I think, maybe half to maybe 1.5. The little pressure gauge barely even moves. I had to put a 15-pound gauge on it. Maybe it was a little smaller than that. They had a 30 on there, and I couldn't even read it. And I learned just a lot off just the little video I seen there, and then checking out. That's what drew my attention to Steve here. I'm like, hey, he knows something about steam, and I don't know a lot. I'm like, I'm gonna watch this thing. I need to go back through. I kind of skimmed through it to kind of make sure, to see what it was about. And it's like, I need to spend more time on this. I was kind of in the middle of doing something else, and I still need to go back through and watch all of it. I kind of only seen about half of it, but I was like, fast forward, jump through, and it's like, hey, I need to go back through. And then that's when I got looking at that book thing, and I know Adam said something about that before too. That Houlihan guy was pretty kick butt. So.
Oh yeah, he's a good speaker too.
Oh yeah. Unfortunately, I watched 2 hours of boiler seminar from him yesterday that I'll never get back.
She likes to talk to the maintenance guys at the hospital. So
they love me.
She comes in and she notices their tool bag, or she'll send me pictures of some of their tools or some of the parts for whatever they're changing.
But what's sad is I actually know the stuff that they're working on. And like when I put in work orders, they know they come from me because they know because of the stuff I use and my terminologies.
See, I should charge you for an apprenticeship program for hanging out here. We can trade it out in labor.
What kind of labor are you thinking of, Jack?
The kind of labor that I'm allowed to charge you.
Nope.
Yep.
Ain't gonna do it.
Yep. Yep. So, I know we went over some basic things there as far as like you've been in the field for how long now and stuff?
Basically out of high school. I've been doing this for, I don't know, 17 years or so. I've been at the same company now for the last 15, doing commercial service. Started at the bottom, no trade school. Business was booming back then, and got hired on, and I was lugging ductwork around on commercial job sites doing, commercial install. Went to residential install, and then got on the commercial service side. And trial by fire, man. Get out there and learn. If you want
Did you start on residential at all, or all commercial?
Residential install. I have not done commercial or residential service. We do have some, just like you guys. We see some residential equipment in commercial applications, but for the most part, unless it's a big wig or somebody, they might send one of our commercial guys, or if it's a house with a boiler or something. Because we're down in that area where we don't see a whole lot of boilers, especially on the residential side. So some of our residential guys aren't as equipped to, work on a boiler like that.
One of the guys asked, don't you get bored working for the same company?
We see a lot of guys jump around in this trade, man. I've seen a lot come and go, but if you got a company that treats you good, pays you well, and you enjoy it, why? What's the reason? The grass isn't always greener.
I jumped around a lot in the beginning. I think I worked at one place for. What are you doing?
You just set it down in Chloe's Frenchie here.
Whatever. I don't wash my hands before I eat either. So, I mean, that's kind of normal with us. I know, like, I worked at the first place for 3. Then I think 2, I left, came back after a year as soon as the kid was born, because that was like the worst guy I've ever worked for. Came back to the company I left, stayed with them another 2 or 3 years. Same thing, but I moved around, and where I'm at now, I don't plan on leaving. The guys that are at my place I'm at now, we literally have people that have been there 25, 35, and original first 1 and 2 employees are still there. But I'm lucky. Our boss, I mean, he was a service guy. He actually ran service. His dad owned a small company before that, so he knew, his stuff. He worked for another company for a short time, then went on his own. He's been out since I think the 80s, or on his own since the 80s. And he takes really good care of us, money-wise, training-wise. I mean, I've moved around enough to know what's good and what's bad. And, I mean, we're paid as good as the union guys, if not tied, if not better. The benefits are the same thing. I mean, it's, and the union around here can be hit and miss. I mean, because they got really cut a lot when things, will you quit? I am in the middle of discussion. And when the things got slow, I mean, those union around here was actually thinking of going non-union because they priced themselves out of work and they were running out of work. So, you know, it's been a great place to work. I agree. I mean, I don't plan on moving around.
We're a non-union gig, and like I said, they pay us well, and I'm in the same situation. My bosses have been in the field, have run service, and we have a constant support group that if you need help, call and ask somebody. And the older guys try to help the younger guys. You know, I've got one of the older guys that I call. You know, when I got a question, say, hey, this is what I got. What do you think?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't know everything. There's plenty of times I call for help, whether it be factory service or one of our guys, usually on some of the bigger stuff, or I want to know how they would do it. That way I do it the way if I do it the way they would do it, then it's not a callback because, you know, I didn't skip something or do something they wouldn't want to do. What would you want earlier?
There's another question, and it's going to get lost because you keep running your pie hole.
Here you go. You just write it down there on that piece of paper right there.
That's not going to work out well. So this is a good one for both of you. If you had to work on one system for the rest of your life, what would it be?
No, that was Alaska. I glanced at that a minute ago, and that's
he has the best questions.
That's a tough one. That's a tough one, man. Rick, go tell us.
It would be a broad range. It'd be refrigeration. I like that. I like it probably more than some of the other stuff. But even that, after 6 years now of just doing what I'm showing now, I'm getting kind of burned out on it, which the whole original thing was to get into the really big industrial stuff, which I'm just tinkering here and there, but it's coming. I mean, it won't be long. I'll have no choice but to have to be doing it, which I want to do it. It's just right now we got people that are already better than me doing it, and we keep people at the same places so that you're not having to go around. You know the history, you know where things are located. You know, I'm the same guy that gets sent back to several different places every year, every time, just because I know where things are at, and it's the same way with other guys. So it's not beneficial to put me on some of these other bigger calls until somebody quits or retires or something. So we've got the same stuff. There's a few accounts that, you know, we spread out to the guys that know them. And then you get some people requesting you for service, and but that's part of the reason why, you know, we talked about jumping around and why you would stay somewhere for 15 years. If you've seen my videos, I get to work on so much, and it's so different. It's refrigeration, it's a chiller, it's a rooftop unit, it's a split system. It's something different all the time, and it keeps it interesting. I'm not stuck in one area just doing the same stuff all the time. And that's why I left on your message thing there. I've said, it looks like we do the same stuff, because, I mean, it's the same thing. I might be on a residential unit, then I could be on a reach-in, then I could be on an ice cream machine, then I could be on a generator. I mean, I'm holding off on placing the generator videos just because they don't get the views. It's usually not my regulars that watch it. It's these people that kind of are searching for problems. You know, it's the same thing with even the ice machines. It's just certain people are wanting to see certain things, and it's usually not the subscribers that are as interested in some of that, but they get the views eventually. It just seems like it takes longer.
It always does. If there's somebody not, you know, if they're not out there searching for it, I mean, it is what it is. Somebody's got to be searching for it to find it. So
I think the thumbnail makes a difference. Anything with ice in it seems to be doing pretty good. Even that reach-in freezer I did on a video a couple days ago. It's something you see ice and people like that. It's like somebody screwed something up. We got to see that.
Yeah.
What they do now?
I think my last thumbnail, the last video did pretty good because I think it was the thumbnail. And it's the first time I kind of took a tip from everybody else, and the way everybody else is doing them is they just take a wide shot of the equipment and just add some text in there.
Mine's a capture a lot of times off the video itself, which I'm starting to use one of the apps on the phone. That kind of makes it a little bit better. But yeah, it's kind of crazy. What are you looking at there, Chuck?
Dunya.
Mm-hmm. You're not paying attention.
Yeah. Alaska said, make your thumbnail vanilla ice and see what the algorithm does.
Oh my gosh, that'd blow it right up.
Yeah. That'd be great. So Gosh, we were on a roll earlier on stuff, and it was like I tried not to ask too many things. I'm trying to think of some of the things we were talking about because I was just kind of like,
We talked too much earlier.
yep. All right, well that wraps it up. No, we ain't doing that. But yeah, it's I don't know what I think it was just kind of like getting to know who you were and where you're from and things like that. I don't know what all information you want to share or anything like that, or I'll leave that up to you. Because I know some people want to keep it hidden, whatever.
I ain't got nothing to hide, man. I mean,
What's your address and phone number?
You're what? Like, hey, I'm in Kentucky, man. We're right to own state. I got guns. If you want to come visit me, come on.
We're concealed carry too. So yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's
There goes your monetization.
Yeah,
Way
well.
to go.
I don't give a crap. Whatever.
Laska has the best questions. Here he goes again. He's going to get him started on those questions. Remember last week?
Yeah, Alaska, man.
He said BAS systems. Any tips for guys just starting out in that area?
Building
It's
automation.
tough, man. I've got some, or my boss is the guru, what I call him, but he's been kind of training me. It's honestly, you have to know how to connect and just know how they work. If you can get connected to any of these building automation systems, they're all the same. I mean, you have to know what system you're dealing with. Is it VAV? Is it constant volume? What's the unit trying to do? Morning warm up set points and daytime warm up set points and setback, outdoor temperature setback, or whatever it may be. If you know how it works, it's a whole lot easier to get in there and know what you're looking at and be able to adjust and help things.
I got a question, and since you happen to say morning warm up, I'm a little bit newer to the VAV stuff. So like we had this one building, and actually I got two different buildings the same way, and I'm wondering if it's designed this way down your way. Basically, they have gas rooftop units for the morning warm up, but then they will use other alternative means to keep the building warm. So they are perfectly capable of doing the building from the rooftop unit, but they're maybe using a boiler with a water coil in the ductwork or something like that. Do you have anything weird like that where one part goes down and it's really hard to make the other work as an auxiliary backup heat?
Well, basically, I mean, the principle of the operation of, the VAV system is we basically supply the building with 55-degree air all the time, 24/7. And then you have if it's designed, well, the best way to do it is have a setback. So as the temperature outside drops, you raise the supply temperature, and you might go up to 65. And then typically the exterior spaces have heaters on what we would call a FPT, or a fan powered terminal. It would have heat on it and be able to supply heat to the exterior offices or whatever they may be. And then the interior would be just a VAV. So if they wanted to warm the interior up, you just close the air off altogether and let it warm up naturally.
Yeah, because we had this one. It was the 25-ton unit that I changed the compressor on this summer. That was my biggest video for a while there, and they had 4 or 5 units. They had 2 that size, and they had 3 or so that were smaller, and they only used the gas fired part in the morning. Otherwise, they used I think they had electric elements. I think
Typically they're electric, or we see some hot water around here.
Well, that's how my other building is. They have one boiler. It's I think it was a Lars, and it wasn't a very big one, but this is a pretty good sized building. And then up on the roof, they had this monster train unit that I don't remember how big it was. I didn't get to do the PM yet on it. It's a fairly new account. And they basically had the water coils in there, and then they had that big monster air handler up there doing the cooling and movement of air. And I was like, so the little boiler does the whole building. And when it went down, that's why it was cold. And I'm like, well, what? We ended up losing the module. It was a Honeywell. I forget which Honeywell module it was. It was a special module for this boiler, and we had to order it, and it took like 4 days to get it, even when you rushed it. And I'm like, why can't we just make the freaking rooftop unit run? I mean, I was like thinking, okay, it was all building automation by Johnson Controls. And I was like, throw a freaking stat on the thing and toss it in a return air duct and at least try to make it run some basic temperatures, at least get the heat on, you know?
There's some ways you can work around that, but the like I said, the morning warm up typically you run that unit because you're operating a blower off static pressure typically, so you're maintaining 1.5, 2 inches of static on your duct, and so when it goes into morning warm up, every VAV in the building opens, and the gas heat comes on the unit, and you're basically picking a sensor. Sometimes you got to play with it a little bit and pick different sensors, but you take one space, and actually on the newer stuff you can average a bunch of sensors and just take that temperature and say, look, I want to make it, the termination at 72 degrees. So you warm that up to 72 degrees, the heat shuts off, and you go back to 55-degree air.
Yeah. And I found out about the manual reset for pressure, static pressure safety. I made that mistake. I ended up jumping it out because they were all controlled by the carrier automation system. And I have the dongle for my computer to where I can control it. And I wanted to make sure it worked in full-blown cooling to make sure the charge is right. Because, I mean, that's the only way to check it technically is full capacity. And
it's
it has,
it
don't work out so well.
Yeah.
That's why I left the doors off and just blew it out on the roof and checked it out that way, because I ended up triggering the, and I didn't know why it stopped. It just quit. Everything went blank. And I'm like, what the heck? And here, the manual reset static pressure gauge down below shut it down. And I'm like, I called our controls guy, and I'm like, dude, what's going on here? And he goes, you probably triggered it. I'm like, what's that for? He goes, so you don't blow the ductwork apart. I'm like, oh, never thought about that. So yeah, all kinds of funny things you learn as you go type thing, which is always a treat.
Yeah.
It's always something.
Laska's busy up there with all of his questions again.
What do you come up with now?
You can
Which
read.
state has the best HVAC techs? That's a good question again, Laska.
Is there any good ones out there?
You know any good ones? I haven't seen any lately.
They're a gold commodity right now. You can't find them anywhere.
There's some everywhere. You got to go find them, man. It's all about, and we were talking earlier, it's all about improving this trade. Let's make this trade better.
You guys
you
can
walk
make
up on a
HVAC
unit,
great again.
the rule is, I'm sorry?
She interrupted you.
So you can make
No, she's
HVAC
fine.
great again.
Make HVAC
Yeah,
great
there you
again.
go.
Yeah.
Make HVAC great again. Blue collar proud, man. I mean, that's what we're here for. You come up to a unit and you leave it better than you found it. That's what we need to be doing with this trade. Leave it better than we found it.
I like it. I think that's what I need to do, is maybe show why I like it so much. And because I kind of like never done. I did one video when I first started, and then it's gone now. How I got in the field and stuff like that, and why I like it. So I thought about maybe doing one like that to kind of maybe. I think I'm seeing some different things now that I should probably do to make it more appealing. My original intent was to just help ones that are already in the field, but really I guess I should be thinking more about how do I recruit more into the field, because I mean we all have a labor shortage, and it's an awesome field. I mean, you got a lot of freedom, and I mean, where else can you stop by the store and pick up something and then head on to your call, or whatever the case, or you was just in the hot nasty attic all for an hour or two, and now you get to drive for half an hour and get paid to drive there to the next call. I mean, it works out great. I like that. That's the freedom is what I like. I remember when I first finished school and went out and actually got paid to do what I was doing for free in school. It's like, oh man, it's 3:30 already. Shoot, we're gonna have to go home here in a little bit. That sucks. It's like, I'm not done yet. I want to do some more. And it's like, son, you'll be doing it for a long time yet. So I'm like, okay, yeah, you're probably right. Yeah.
It's what we need to be doing, man. I liked the guy the overtime crew had on the other night was really good. The teacher, I forget where he was from, but and they talked about just the the feeling you get when it finally clicks for somebody when you're teaching them and then they finally get it, it's indescribable. It's great to see somebody actually get it.
And like I mentioned, every now and again I get an email. Like I've had a couple of the kids that are like, "Hey, between you and some of the other guys' videos I've been watching, I decided I'm going to go to school for this." And cool. That's awesome. I mean, I honestly do get a kick out of that. I love hearing that one of my tricks worked, or it was something they hadn't seen before, or it helped them out. I mean, to me that's awesome, because it's like, I won't forget, like, even just having the cheater cord. I went to another company and used it, and they're like, "That's a good idea." And I'm like, "We used them all the time at the place I was at before." Everybody knew the same things because, we all shared the information because we all done it, the same way. And you learn different things. And with the opportunities of recording it and sending it out there, I mean, you can pick up so many different things. Like, I'm always eyeballing people's tools. It's like, what do they got? Is there anything I can maybe add to my arsenal there to make my job easier? Or that's how I got some of my my Knipex. I shouldn't say Knipex. Knipex tools, because I never heard of them. It was like
he's pushing them.
Who's that?
HVAC UK.
Yeah, I've seen a couple of his stuff. Yeah, he did a couple of Vito bags and things like that.
He uses a lot of the Knipex, and I do the same thing. As a guy who halfway knows what he's doing. Watching you and whoever else you pick up little things, and it's like, that's a cool way to do it. I've been doing it this way. Let me try that. And, it works better, or, you like it better or you don't, but there's different ways to do things. You don't have to do things the same.
What about the Wera? I have some Wea, but I guess Wera. I've been seeing a lot of those screwdrivers a lot. I think they're Japanese or something. The Wea is German. I've got a small set of those that I traded when Sears was still here. I traded out some Sears stuff for that, and I'm glad I did. They're pretty good. I had no clue what they were when I got them, but have you ever used the Wera stuff? That's like green.
I have not. I'm not sure. I'm not sure what you're talking about.
They're Japanese.
I have to look that up.
They got a funny handle to them. It's kind of gets fat and thin, and it kind of fits the grip of your hand. Kind of like, I actually got a pair of pliers called Vam pliers, and they're made in Japan, and they literally in the front, they're linesmen's. They're not very big. They're only like 8 inches, but they have little teeth on the front. And so if you get a screw that's stripped out, you literally can get right on that screw and actually back that thing out and get a stripped out screw out. It's even on stainless steel ones. I'm surprised. I'm afraid I'm going to screw them up because, they probably don't have any special warranty because, they're all Japanese or whatever.
Yeah.
Little things like that. I mean, then I found out they had another off name, but it's the same Japanese manufacturer for a whole lot less. But I paid like $35 for these stupid linesmen, maybe 40, I forget. But they work. I don't use them very often. I don't carry them with me, but they do a really good job when I need them. There's one of those weirdo things.
Oh, I mean, it's nice to have that tool you need when you need it. And you may not use that thing once a year, but when you need that thing, it's nice to have.
Yeah. Jeremy Hall says that the Wera is just Craftsman equivalent. So that's what I was wondering. They didn't. I didn't know if they were any better or not. I don't need any Craftsman stuff. I rather buy Cobalt or something that Menards sells or something like that, because at least they're around here now. The Sears went out of business around here, and I have some tools that are lifetime warranty that I can't get fixed now, and yeah, not very happy with it. Joe uses pipe dope for toothpaste. That's
hardcore, man.
That's all in. That's all in there. So
might want to rethink that.
R12 for antiperspirant.
Yeah, that'll close your pores. So let's see here. I'm trying to think of what we were talking about, because I mean, we were on a roll. It was kind of like, now we're all comfortable now and stuff. It's like, okay, he's an okay guy now. We know that now. It's okay. So, what was it? Help me out here. What do you want to know from him?
What?
I got nothing.
Trying to think of what we were chit-chatting about earlier.
It was kind of like we had all kinds of things, and I purposely stopped just so we wouldn't. And now I'm like, my mind's going blank and stuff. I think it was some of it.
I I didn't help either. Like I told you earlier, tell me to shut up if I need to, because if you ask the right questions, I might not shut up for a while.
Like two girls in a candy store, man. It's like, yeah, what
You
do you
guys
like?
were, yeah.
Hey,
I could hear you upstairs.
I don't know how it is around your area, but my area, most people don't want to talk about this crap. They don't want nothing to do with it. I'm gonna bring that audio up just a little bit there. There we go. Maybe that's a little better.
And we hit on this a little bit earlier. I think if you want to come and you want to work your 8 hours and you want to go home, you can do that. And you can be one of these guys that jumps around and goes to 15 different companies, because they're going to keep kicking you out. I mean, if you're not there, if you want to improve yourself and make the trade better and make you better, go learn something. Go read a book. Go Google it. We have so much knowledge at our fingertips nowadays, and we're not using it right. We could be so much better.
Yeah, I think that was what I was talking about, like on the vacuum stuff. I mean, I never did half the stuff I do now. I pulled through the manifold all the time. I remember when I first got some 3/8 hoses, and I'm like, yeah, I don't know if this is going to make a difference. And I'm like, holy crap, it did. Hey, I can actually do it right now and not spend all day doing it. And, and then vacuum gauges. I had so many problems that didn't work right. And it was like, finally found a good one that worked, It's, yeah.
The best tool is the tool you can trust, man. And I've been preaching that same stuff as the stuff that I've found, and the vacuum stuff, the little stuff we've been doing the same way for however many years, because it's how we were taught. Pulling a vacuum through a manifold is completely normal, and not that it's wrong, but there's a better way. And
there's times
if
where
we
you got
can't
to.
realize that and improve ourselves, then what are we doing?
There's two questions.
You're woman handling me.
But I have questions.
She's grabbing my arm.
You don't shut up. How am I supposed to alert you that there's a question?
You just point to it.
Just jump in there. Hey, there's a question.
Point that way. And thank you, JD, for that super chat. That was very kind of you.
Thank you, JD.
And I like the fact that you're also baiting Laska. I kind of enjoy that friendly competition. So this question I think is hilarious from Loki. Have you ever got caught peeing on the job site?
Are you following me around? Because I'm bad about peeing
Rick
outside.
pees outside everywhere he can. Even at my parents' house, he'll whip it out and pee outside. And it's like, Rick, you can just go right inside. There's multiple bathrooms. Go.
That's why I moved out of the city, so I can go pee outside whenever I want.
It's normal where I'm at.
It must be a man thing.
But I found out you can get charged pretty big for that. It's like, holy crap. So now I sometimes pee into a bottle while I'm inside the doors of the truck. That way you
That's
don't leave no
much-
evidence.
So much effort, though.
Hi, I'm Rick. I'm here to work on your furnace. Where's your bathroom at? Hey, I need to take a dump. I mean, you don't go in there and use their stuff. People are weird about that.
Sometimes it's hard, man, especially on these commercial places we're at. Sometimes it's just not close. Like,
No.
if you want to go to the bathroom, you got to do your business and go be ready to do what you're doing, because it's a mile walk and down a ladder and across the parking lot and driving around the building and checking back into security and taking everything out of your pockets to get inside. It's like, man.
Yeah, because in some of the places that they're literally police departments and stuff like that, and prisons and things. We do some crazy stuff that I can't tell where I'm at. You can imagine me saying that now, where I was probably at in some of those ones where I didn't tell you where I was at, because it was a place like that. So but I did learn, like we used to do some work for McDonald's. They actually literally put a camera up on their roof. So if you guys are out there, make dang sure. And the reason why they did it was so they could see whether the unit's working. But you go whiz banging up there on the roof, you might give somebody a show, and depending on who's watching that, you could get in some legal trouble there, believe it or not. So I'm very careful
Cameras
about
everywhere.
that. Yep. You always anticipate a camera. I've had customers, literally even in residential. And if it wasn't for the night vision LED lights kicking on, I wouldn't have noticed it. He purposely set a couple cameras up down there in the basement to record me to see whether or not I probably did the job right or not. Or maybe they just normally has cameras because, some of us are weird. And I'm like, always work and do the job right like you're being watched, because you never know, you might be. And the smaller they get, the more it's likely you're going to get caught if you ain't doing it right. So, yeah, be careful. Peeing in somebody's sub pump or something like that. That's
Did you
something.
see where this comment is? Beer, please.
Natty, natty, daddy.
That's funny.
Nice. Yeah.
I like it. Yeah. And there's times I'll sit there and watch you pee, and I'm like, just to see if you get
She's
stage
jealous.
fright.
She is jealous.
Or whatever.
She's like, how's that work?
No, I just like to try to like.
I'm like, you want to hold it?
No, I wouldn't try to give you stage fright, so it messes you up.
I don't care. It's only other guys that make you feel weird like that. It's kind of like, you've already seen it. So yeah.
Weird. So, and Weaver had a really good question. He wants to know if you guys are seeing new units with R448A like Chris.
I did an ice cream machine startup last week that had it. So I know that I'm pretty sure what Stolding's going to from instead of 404 is what they're going to. So I told our person that orders stuff, hey, you need to get a bottle or two of this crap because if we have and it was really crappy too because the thing it was flashing off quite a bit, even though you're not supposed to charge them by the sight glass because they don't have a receiver. It was flashing quite a bit, made me a little bit leery. It was water-cooled condenser, so.
I haven't seen. I've seen some of them out there. I haven't personally worked on any yet, but I did bring that up in our last to my boss that we need to go over this and make sure the guys know when they're going out here that hey, know what you're working on because it might be flammable, and that's what we're seeing anymore. And all the new stuff's R290, so you just got to be prepared for it.
Yeah, the 290 took a while to get the bottles and stuff for that because we finally got it, and then I ended up not showing. I had some problems on the one video, and I was so pissed. It was Icor, and Icor screwed me twice now. Their bottle failed to close. It was one where you screwed it on and it punctured it, and then it would like undo it when you're done. I lost half a bottle or 3/4 of a bottle, which, that stuff's like $10, $12, something like that for a little dinky bottle of it. And I lost the whole freaking thing.
Hey, don't forget to tip your waitress.
Yeah. And,
You saw my beer coming, I guess.
Yep, I did. Yeah, don't forget to tip the waitress. Oh, look who finally shows up in chat.
I'll give her a tip later.
Just the tip.
That's what she said.
Yep. It's a curious Bill out there.
It's about time, Bill. Where you been?
Curious Bill in the house.
Oh, curious guy in the house.
Heck yeah, he's the curious Bill. So yeah.
What's he curious about tonight? We got Laska's asking all the good questions. What's Bill want to know?
Oh man, you're gonna ask him to ask you. You know he's gonna pull out something good. It's like, why do the Ducks?
Might as well. That's what we're here for, right?
Absolutely. I see you got the best of the best on the show tonight. I know. It only cost me like freaking $150. I mean, not bad for 40 minutes, Not bad at all. So, yeah, it's crazy. What different refrigerants do you keep on your truck?
I keep all kinds of stuff. I did a truck. When I started, everybody was screaming about do it. Let us see your truck. Let us see your truck. I mean, the big ones, obviously, 22, 410, 134. MO99 seems to be the replacement that we've gone with for R22. So on our big stuff, I've got MO99. That's 438A. I keep a jug of Hot Shot, which is one of the original R22 replacements that I don't think I've ever used. I just ended up on my truck somehow.
R12. Hot Shot's R12.
R12 replacement?
Mm-hmm. It'll do 134A,
okay.
R12, yeah.
Gotcha. So I've got a jug of that. Like I said, I don't think I've ever used it. And then 404 and 401.
What's 401 do?
401, I believe, is on. It's refrigeration. It's another rare occasion that we see it, but I want to say it freezers.
Okay.
Some of our freezers use 401 rather than 404.
Our guy picked 407 or 407F and 407C, and the F he used on some freezers. And I'm looking at the chart, and I'm like, I'd rather use C even on the freezers, and I've had good luck with it. But when I watch these other guys, they're using A, and it's like, there's too many doggone different things. And like right now, I got 2 22s, 2 410s, 2 134As, 2. I think I actually got Hot Shot 2 now because the Hot Shot 1's gotten expensive. So Hot Shot 2, I've got 407C, 407F, and what was the other one I got?
The 407C is what we see in a lot of our Lieberts. Liebert uses 407C. I think they're a European company too.
Yeah, we got those on some of our computer rooms and things like that. The 422D is our drop-in. I tried the MO99 when I was at another company, and the residential service manager used it too, and we both kind of came to the same conclusion. And we didn't like the way it was. It had really high head pressure, and you had to no matter what, it seems like you got to overcharge all of them to get the superheat or the the subcooling's always high, and it seems like you always got to overcharge it. It's what I've noticed with any of the drop-ins, but the 422 is just a little bit lower, I think.
Yeah, I mean it's hard. I mean, if you look at the MO99, it's you're supposed to charge to 85 or 90% of the actual charge. So I mean, you're not necessarily supposed to go the full charge with it.
But if you go by superheat or subcooling, I've never had it work yet at 80% or even 90%. I usually have to go 110 to get the superheater and subcooling where they want it at.
Yeah, I mean it's hard. I mean if we're talking drop-in replacement, the superheater subcooling is what I'm assuming you're looking at what the manufacturer wants.
Yeah. Well, I kind of always wondered if the
manufacturer wants the original refrigerant in there is the problem. They don't want that drop-in.
Yeah, I mean, and I've seen everything from dumping the POE on top of the mineral oil. Because, I mean, really, if you look at the ones that have a flammable refrigerant in there, they're using that as their additive to push back the mineral oil to the compressor. Because, like, the 422D has like a butane or something like that in it, a little bit, not a bunch. And they're using that to shove back the mineral oil. Because, I mean, it never mixes, but, I mean, it will shove it back. That's why, when I heard the add 20% or 10% or whatever it is now, they keep changing their mind. In the beginning, they're like, you can't do that. It'll not mix. It's non-soluble, and it'll foam, and it'll do this. And then now it's like no holds bar. Everybody's doing whatever.
Laska wants to know, how much MO99 could a carrier suck if a carrier couldn't suck R22?
And that's funny. Our carrier dealer was the one that sold the MO99 stuff, and that's. I remember using that especially on older units, like 10 SEER or below. The ones that were usually 30 over ambient. You're just sitting there charging until you get it to break, and it's like, yeah, it's not breaking. The superheat's high. I mean, nothing's coming down. It's a fixed orifice. You're just charging and charging and charging, and the superheat's not coming down, and it's like all of a sudden you're 50 degrees, 45 degrees over ambient, and it finally gets there, and it's like, wow. So on the old ones, I have not. It didn't do very good.
There's a fine line, man. Like I said, if you look at the manufacturer data, they want to see something, but then you're dropping this new, you're adding a new component to the thing that it's not designed for. So I mean, you're trying to do something different with it. It makes it difficult. We've used the MO99 on larger stuff just because of the capacity, and if you've got 100 and something pounds of R22, it gets expensive.
Yeah. Yeah, well, we'll usually just convert it. I mean, most of the stuff, our big stuff, is usually semi-hermetic, so we can drain the oil and swap it over. And I think we're going to be okay here on like the stuff that's already POE, as far as getting rid of 410 and 404 and 34A. All that crap's already using POE. It's just going to be as simple as yanking the refrigerant out and dumping the other stuff in. Before, we had to fight the mineral oil battle, and that's the problem. I think a lot of that original stuff didn't get the oil changed because guys were just throwing it in there. And you know what? I've seen some of the crap work. I mean, like the guys I worked with, it was a refrigeration company. They'd be like, it's a small, because they were working on the really big stuff. So they're like, I ain't changing oil on a stupid little tin can compressor. He's like, I just threw 134A in there and let it run hot. I'm like, okay, does that work? Works for a while until it quits. Okay, gotcha. What?
Works till it don't.
Yeah, works until it stops. What do you want?
Here's a stumper for you guys. You ready? I hope you're both sitting down. We have a serious question in the chat.
Uh-oh.
So, Stevie B469, he wants to know, have you ever had to work under someone with half the experience you have in service? So this person he's working under is currently a service manager. That should be like the rest of us techs. Thoughts?
No, because everybody's usually been pretty. Everyone is either equal to or possibly better if they're on a bit on the bigger stuff. So no, luckily I haven't had to deal with that.
Yeah, I haven't had to deal too much with that either. I can remember one of my first jobs. The guy, it was a college guy, and he was drawing up all these blueprints, and that kind of drove me away because he knew what he was talking about, and he had it right here on paper that it was going to work, and I'm standing there looking at it, going, "Dude, it's not going to work." I can give you my tape measure and have you come out here and look at it for real, and that can cause a disconnect right there.
Mm-hmm. I've seen other guys that didn't have that. I've seen it happen to other people that went from being one thing and went into another department, and that created issues. They didn't respect the person, because I think usually with guys in our field, if they don't, they can hate you but still respect you because they know you know what you're doing. And once you lose the respect there, they don't count anything you're saying as good information. I think everything goes downhill after that.
Yeah.
It's luckily hasn't. I'm not in that.
It looks like the curious guy asked if I'd ever worked on Lieberts, and the answer is yes. We see a few Lieberts out here, and obviously, that's the Cadillac system of computer room. I seen somebody else said they hate Lieberts, and Lieberts are awesome machines, man. If they're well maintained and you know how they work, Liebert's the best thing going to cool a computer room.
Yeah,
everybody likes to cheap anymore and just stick a ductless split in there, but Liebert's the way to go.
Did yours have a humidifier on it too?
We have some with and some without. It just depends on which one. But yes, they have the infrared. They got I guess it's a bulb that sits back in there and heats the pan that fills with water.
Yeah, it was my first one I worked on. I've only worked on maybe two of them or one of them, and it had a leak. I found the leak, and then when I was in there, I'm like, "What the heck is this thing?" He's like, "Got your humidifier." I'm like, "What?" It makes sense because it's hard to make humidity with, like, say, a normal humidifier when it's cool in there. So you got to use either steam or some sort of heat to get it to evaporate and get it into the room, which is a problem we had with one computer room that we used to take care of before I came to where I'm at now. And you can just see that we didn't have the experience we needed for the job because we tried using regular humidifiers and it never did work. We should have used steam humidifiers, and even those I've seen too many problems with the steam humidifiers. What else?
Well, I'm sure it's the same up there. We have hard water, so steam humidifiers are great, but it's a constant battle with the calcium buildup and everything else. They gum up quick, and you got to keep them clean.
Yeah. De-liming it, stuff like that, the maintenance, which they never seem to want to do or anything like that.
Yeah, it's a steam humidifier. Put it in, it's supposed to work, right? Forever.
Yeah, good enough is forever, absolutely. Or don't want to change the water filter, or they want to think that this water filter will stop the hard water and stuff, or the high calcium. We got a lot of calcium in our water around here.
Yeah, same here.
So it creates issues and stuff like that. What are you doing now, Chuck?
I'm cold.
Yeah. Well, I got a little heater down here we can turn on.
Turn me on, babe.
Okay. The resistance heater is working. So.
Woohoo.
But.
Where's my marshmallows?
You get any new tools lately? What's one of your favorite tools?
We just went through some arc flash training, so I bought insulated screwdrivers.
That's exciting.
Seemed reasonable at the time.
You got your 10-hour, or what do you get?
This I think it's going to be something we do every year. It was just a video that the boss came up with, but it was something we're going to have to do for a few of the locations that we're servicing. I'm sure you all have seen the same stuff. It's the safety is getting uh, everybody's being so safe. It's becoming unsafe. Honestly, it makes it harder to do what we need to do. As far as putting a harness on to climb up a ladder to go up to a roof and tie off, I mean, the harness is cumbersome and you trip on it and you're trying to climb up a ladder while you're wearing this harness. But safety is becoming everything, and that's what we're dealing with. A lot of places want to see training and a lot of arc flash safety. If I mean, honestly, we're talking to this company now that we've had contract for forever, and now they want us to wear literally arc flash protective equipment when we're opening panels up if the power's on. And it's like, you got 30 rooftop units and it's 95, 100 degrees outside. It's going to be very hard to put all this equipment on and try to diagnose something.
Yeah, I got my OSHA 10, which, that was the minimum. Like you said, the next one's 30. We have the continuing education, and because we actually hire a company out of Cleveland to come down and do our training. It helps because, I mean, some places I've worked at, our workers' comp was $150,000 a year just for the workers' comp because we had some big claims. And so this company's proactive because we got so many employees that we actually have dedicated safety guys, and we do the training on that stuff. As far as, there was some things to be learned. I mean, I had no idea because I work on a lot of 460, 480 that, holy crap, just a little bit of dust or something like that. And you got an arc that gets to 20,000 plus degrees in a split second. And not only does it go bright, it goes super, super hot. And then you go deaf and all the other crap that goes along with it. And it's like, that's why you'll see on my leads, I try to use my little fluke twist things. I'm doing my part, to try to make it better.
Yeah. I mean, the problem is if you're going to try to troubleshoot something, it's almost got to be live. It's what we do, but
yeah.
There's a certain amount of safety that has to go into it. There's a certain amount of common sense, I think, that has to go into it as well.
Yeah. Well, I did one, it was 460. It was on an automotive plant where they were baking. It was like where they did the powder coat and they heated the paint after they did it. And they had a bunch of VFDs in there. So it was a big panel of VFDs, and it had a 2-ton air conditioner on just the box for the VFDs. And I forget what brand it was, but it was like a stand-up air conditioner. And they didn't have a disconnect on it. All they had was 3 fuses, and they were 7 amps, but still it was 480, and you had to pull them out one at a time. So you're single phase in the unit until you get them all pulled out. And I think I had a short, and I'm like, I hate to be a puss here, but I really don't know. You need to put a freaking disconnect on this. That's all there is to it. Or you can put the thing in. So here's the fuses. You can put them in, and next time we need to have the disconnect. So I let him do it. I mean, I was a pansy, but it's like after seeing some of those videos, you're like, shit, 7 amp fuse, it'll be all right. I'm thinking, oh, will it? I have no idea. I don't want to find out. So, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, no doubt.
Knowing that it's got a short, potentially a short, and I'm already checking it, but I think it's a running short, like in the windings or something. I'm like, I don't want to. Yeah, no. You get metal.
We see a lot of those, the cabinet coolers.
That's what it is.
I don't know. Yeah, cabinet cooler. That's what it sounds like. That's exactly what we deal with, and they do the same thing. It's fed from a fuse block in the cabinet. So the only way to shut it off is to pull the fuse.
Yeah, I don't see how they get that damn thing approved. That's bull. It should not. It should break all 3 legs right then and there. And it's like, I don't care if it's a pull-out disc. It's something. Give me something to isolate it. So yeah, it was kind of.
Honestly, some of our customers are good. The last one I did, I've got a video up of a cabinet cooler, and they already had it pulled off and sitting in the maintenance shop for me. And I thought, well, you can't beat that.
Well, this one was packed full of crud in the coil, the condenser, the evaporator, both of them. They had these weird. They were DC motors even. They were just straight. They weren't variable, but they were like DC 200 some odd volt motors. It was really weird. They were using a transformer to convert it to DC from AC. and it was just straight same voltage. Nothing. I don't know why the heck they did it, but that's what they were using. And it's like, and then you couldn't get the cover on because the wheels were real weird looking. They were about yay big around, and they were about that thick, and you couldn't. Your gauges getting into it was hard. I mean, the whole thing was bad. It was a pain in the butt. I had some bits and pieces of recording, but I ended up not ever using it. So I don't know.
Yeah, that's another one of those that I thought was kind of cool because it was something different. It was sitting on a table for me, but nobody clicked on it.
I didn't watch all your stuff. Do you do any generators or anything like that?
We don't see any generators. I have not. I've seen your videos because I'm kind of interested in my own generator, and so I've watched some of those.
Run from it. Don't fall. Don't fall for it.
I do enough as it is. I'm trying to keep my options somewhat limited.
That's what I've ran into, is that you keep getting into more and more things, and then you start forgetting other things, and that can be a problem later, which is some of the things I've ran into. Now they're only giving you a year certification.
Keep an open mind and go back and research if you need to. You're not going to know everything. There's too much stuff out here. To think you're an expert on everything is ridiculous, and you're not going to be. You're not ever going to be. So ask questions and reach out and ask the people who do know. There's people out there that work on it every day that can answer a question you might have. But you'd be amazed at the feedback that I get, even from some of the tech support guys when you call them and you have the information, and it's like, well, I've done this, this, and this, and this, and these are my readings, superheat, subcooling, blah, 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 blah. And they're going, it's like they get called every day and they have to walk people through things. And if you know what you're doing, you can get a lot of help and support out there.
Samuel, what is the most claustrophobic you have ever been in a small place on a job?
I'm not really claustrophobic. I've crawled into some random, which I'm sure you have too, some random places.
Be careful how you phrase that.
Well, whatever.
I wasn't either.
Beers, if I'm going now.
But I had my first attack to where I flipped out, and it was a residential, and it was and I usually don't care. I mean, I can be like squeezing my body through, and I was even when I was heavier, and it was a side job I shouldn't have been doing, but it was friends of her mom and dad's, and the ductwork was way underneath the house, and it was like I was like already had to get way back at the house, and then when you got to that area, they literally had the center beams of the house, and they trailed out, and there was not a whole lot of room, and there were things on my left, things on my right, so I couldn't spin around, and so you're going straight in, and my arms, I got problems with them. Basically, it seems like they're dislocating and stuff like that, so if they're stretched out, they can do funny things, and then if it would do it, I would not have been able to crawl out, and I always got that in the back of my mind, and I'm sitting there army crawling along and stuff, and I'm getting out of breath, and then all of a sudden I'm getting pinned between my back and my chest, and all of a sudden, for the first time ever, it hit me, and I'm like, I got to get out of here, and I like bolted out of that son of a gun. I've never had that happen. First time it ever happened, and this is like, I don't know, probably 4 years ago, so 20 years into it, 21 years into it, and that was the first time it ever happened. I don't know why, but now I'm aware of it, that it could happen, and it was really weird. I never had it happen before. It was, I don't know.
Well, being in a tight space and a tight space where it's harder to move is a different story. But I mean, I've been in some tight spaces, but I haven't ever had that. But I'm sure it can happen.
Yeah, because there was nobody that was going to be able to get me out. The people there were older, and so it was her brother who claimed he had all kinds of issues. And I told him, I said, look, I can't get down there, so if you want, I would like to replace this line set, so I'm going to cut up your floor, and we're going to go through the floor and get through it that way. And I did. I pulled the carpet back, cut the floor out, pulled the floor up, shoved it through that way, sent a new line set out, because I like to run a new line set when I do a new install, and did it that way and put it back, and it was fine, but it's just not something I would normally do. And it was in the closet, so I was able to do that. But That's the first time I ever had that wacko stuff going.
Read Laskas.
That's what I thought. Which one was it? I'm trying to think.
The most overlooked electrical thing during a diagnosis. So your small picture electrical diagnosis.
Yeah, tell us about your small picture. Most
Small
overlooked.
picture.
Yep, your small picture overlooked.
The electrical, man. I mean, I don't know. Maybe it's different where y'all are at, but the transformer is always wired wrong. It comes from the factory for 240 or 208. It never gets changed, and it's always wrong. And you've got 23 volts, 23.5, or right at 24.
Yeah, and I've heard of that chattering the contactors and stuff like that.
It puts stress on everything. Low voltage in that system, relays, everything.
Trying to think of something electrically. I would say one of the other big things, and it's not so much me because I learned the hard way, is the guys that like to use ground as a reference point, that like to check their limits to see if they're open, and that's the worst way to do it. You want to check across it. And so that's probably one of the things I see people do wrong that will mislead you. Well, I got power on both sides of the switch. Yeah, it's looping through the coil and back again. It's going to. It's, not,
I try to keep the young guys off ground. Just stay away from ground. Like that, you don't, I'm checking my voltage, and how are you checking it? If you're checking for power to see if you're getting in a panel, yes, maybe it's proper to go each leg to ground. I get it. But if you're trying to diagnose something and it's got power or it doesn't, going to ground ain't doing you no good. It's just you're chasing your tail.
Laska is on a roll here. When you clean a coil, how do you clean the coil with water?
And soap.
Remember when I said something? I asked you where you lived at because of your accent.
Do you wash it or do you wash it?
Do you wash the coil or wash?
We wash it.
Oh, you're a washer too, huh? Just like Rick.
See?
We're a washer. Yeah.
It's not just me. And he's in Kentucky. And honestly, he's only about, we've mapped it out. He's 3 hours and a half away from me. So, yeah.
And we ain't that far.
No, not at all. And I've rode down in his area anyhow. So, I mean, yeah, that you guys think that's just, it literally is just something that gets said, crick or creek.
It's a little bit different everywhere. I mean, I see soda or pop in there now, and we're not even that because
we're pop.
You guys are different up there, but we're Coke. Everything's Coke.
Yeah, that's right. They're Coke down there.
I didn't even think that you guys I thought you guys were soda, but yeah,
no, they're a Coke down there.
Okay. Yeah,
I think different regions are different, but like I said, I'm from the city. I just moved 50 miles out, but grew up in the city, and it's everything's Coke.
Mm-hmm.
It's interesting the different words and terminologies for everything.
They hammer me on it, and it's like I don't deny it. I know I have some hillbilly
he's
freaking.
Hill Jack.
I am.
It drives me nuts.
Oh, what?
Your saw and scene, you use those incorrectly all the time.
I don't know how to spell anything. Here's the other one, and I hate to even say it because I broke myself of it. We'll get it taken care of.
Oh my
or
God.
taken care of.
Oh yes.
I used to say taken care of, and I got yelled at all the time about it. So I don't say taken care of. There's some other ones too that happen, but yeah, it just whatever.
I noticed the push.
The who?
When you say push.
Yeah, that's another one.
Yeah. Push.
It's push.
Yeah.
Push. My mom used to yell at me for saying volume versus volume. I don't know.
Oh, and the way he says mirror is funny.
Mirror.
Mirror.
I don't know. And there's a lot of times where I'm not even thinking out what I'm going to say, and I'll just slur it into it. It's like, I'm hungry, Princel. Whatever.
I like how Weaver push.
Push it. Yeah, push it. Or roof. Roof is the other one I got called out on. The roof. Yeah. Roof. It's a roof. Roof. whatever. I
Well,
freaking my spelling. They say a lot of the reason why you spell things wrong is because you don't pronunciate it correctly, and it's
Pronunciate.
like, yep, whatever.
something like that.
I had 83 kids in my senior class. We come from a small little hick school, so they named the school after the east side of the county, for God's sakes. I mean, I never figured it out till later. I'm like, oh my gosh, no wonder how we got our school's name. It's like, oh brother, it's like,
Everybody's throwing words in the chat now.
yeah, it's crazy. Battery pronounce. Well, and before, by the time I go down there and ride down in your area, and I get around y'all, and before you know it, I'm talking like you before it's all said
You're
and done.
gonna drive me nuts when you come back.
And it's like I just subliminally pick it up and start doing it. It's like,
Well, your mom's side is from Kentucky.
yeah, whatever.
They are. So you're gonna come back.
It don't surprise me.
That Tucky in you's gonna start coming out.
My Tucky.
Oh, how you say pecan or pecan?
It's pecan pie, pecan. I don't know.
Bacon. That's that's the whole thing about with I'm from Louisville,
Yeah.
and everybody calls it Louisville and Louisville, and you can tell the people who live here because it's Louisville. That's what it is.
My town's the same way. It's mispronunciated all the time. There's other towns around here. It's the same thing. But to their credit though, one of the places is a country overseas, and it's like for some reason they call it that. So yeah, it's I don't know. It's interesting. So what else we got going on there?
See right here, Kentucky, Eastern Kentucky settlers. That's you. That's you right there.
Is it?
Yep, right there.
Yeah. You want to?
Yeah, I'll take. Yeah, I like the accent.
Yeah.
Ooh, and you have South Central Appalachia settlers. See, you're gonna be going back home
Yep.
in June.
Yep. I haven't told them officially I'm going yet or not.
Chinggis or Chinggis?
I never even heard of it before.
Yeah, I've never heard of Chinggis before either.
Yeah, it was all new to me.
I hadn't either. I googled it when I heard him say it, and it is just a random thing you don't know the name for.
I like thingamabob or whatchamacallit, or I haven't ever got into the doohickey, but the thingamabob or whatchamacallit, but I figured it was a California thing. Yeah, I overlapped.
That's a whole lot of what Kentucky and West Virginia.
Yeah, whatever.
There's Ike. Hi, Ike.
Ike. What's going on, bud?
Yeah. So what happens with your 3% Jewish when you go down to Kentucky?
I don't know.
Keep that 3% at bay.
Yeah. Well, they're religious down there, so we should be all right. So, yeah.
Okay.
What,
There's a question. On the manual defrost timer, you think they last about 3 to 4 years?
defrost clock, I'm assuming he's talking about?
Sure.
I think
Yeah.
we get more than that, don't you? On your defrost clocks?
I'm sorry, I was sidetracked for a minute. Would you say a couple years for a defrost clock?
I
Yeah,
believe
he was
that's what he's
saying
talking
3
about.
to 4 years.
It depends on it depends on where it's at. I mean, how much moisture and corrosion is it getting? Is it inside or is it outside?
Are they using
I've seen
isolation?
Yeah,
Fine.
I've seen mechanical clocks last forever. And then sometimes they just die or they stick, and they typically stick in defrost. It seems like the electronic clocks, which I like and I use a lot, but it seems like they're a little more prone to failures.
Yeah, they get gunk in them.
Yeah, it doesn't take much.
Sludge in the.
And they're using little dinky
Defrost
relays. I mean, they're rated for 30 amps, but the contact points on them are small compared to what you got on the old-fashioned clocks. And it just seems to me that they would last longer. I got a lot of them that are really old.
Yeah, I mean, you would think. I mean, and all that mechanical stuff it worked for years for a reason. They used it for a reason.
Mm-hmm. No, I agree. I wish I could think. My mind has gone blank on all the things that we talked about. We didn't talk about anything in specific. But I'm trying to think of what. Yeah.
Now you're all paranoid about how you say things.
Yeah, pretty much. It's kind of like, what in the world? Because I mean, we were just on a roll about anything. It was just kind of like, hey, you know, it's kind of like two dogs walking around, you know. But
well, we were getting to know each other. We probably, like I said, we probably should have just waited till now. But
yeah.
It is what it is, man. It's like I said, I can sit here and BS all day. If you ask me questions, tell me to shut up when you want me to.
I'm just trying to think of something that might entertain them and stuff, and it's like I don't know what exactly they might want to know or what would be interesting to them, and I kind of feel like I'm letting them down by not coming up with something, because it's like I was on a roll earlier, but it's like, what's this? What are your thoughts on the gender equality of the trade?
That's very scandalous.
Hey, as long as they can do the work, I don't give a crap. I wouldn't mind having a pretty girl working there. It's fine with me.
Air conditioning.
Huh?
Bunny's air conditioning.
There you go. As long as they can do the work, that's my whole thing. Now, if you got to get all this special treatment, that's different. As long as you can heat-haul the freaking compressor, whatever it is you're doing, I have no problem with it. I mean, it is a fact.
We had a great technician. She was from the military, but we had I forget where she moved, but she moved somewhere, and she trained me when I started here, and she was awesome, man. And she would get in there and she work you in the ground.
I mean, they're usually smarter. I mean, hello, were they smarter than us in school generally? So, I mean, why would it be any different just because they can't physically maybe lift as much? I mean, not everything is heavy lifting. A lot of it's usually using your brain. So I don't care. I mean, you know, as long as we don't have to do special treatment, that's the whole thing. As long as you know, everyone works equal on equal playing field, no problem at all. Jeremy, Christian, last time you were asking about color, religion, you're bailing, son. You're baiting, son. Yeah. Yeah, whatever. But yeah, I don't have no problem with it. I think it's a little weird at first till you get used to it, I think. I mean, we had a girl in our class, but she ended up not finishing out, but I don't care anymore nowadays, whatever. No big deal.
It's all about sharing what we know. We need to be bringing people into the trade.
I asked my daughter, I said, hey, I know you got your thing going on with your business classes and marketing and things like that, but you know, you'd be great at this stuff. Nah, I ain't interested in it. Like, all right, whatever. So
I mean, honestly, it's one of those things that we touched on this earlier. You know, we're sending these kids to college. Not everybody's going to go to college. I wasn't built for college. I could have done a trade school, but it kind of just worked out like it did for me. But why are we pushing these kids to college that ain't gonna, I mean, they graduate and then they can't even go get a job in what they graduated in. I mean, you can have a master's degree and not go get a job. There's openings out there for trade people and people that want to work. And this is where we need to be drawing them to and trying to teach them something and maybe catch them early. Let's get them at the high school level and say, look, but you know who they are. It was you, it was me, it was, you know, everybody in high school that you knew that wasn't going to go to college, but they was going to go make a living somewhere.
Yep.
So I guess, did Chris knocked out the power to an entire building? So I guess someone's asking if either of you guys have ever done anything like that.
Yep. Stolding ice cream machines has phase-to-phase transfer, and they are on two separate circuits. And if it loses because it's on two breakers, if it loses one of the breakers, it'll switch over for the control voltage to the other leg that has power, so it can at least run one side. And so you're switching three phases or even single phase, and they basically better be aligned so that if this one picks up or that one lets off, they're in sync. But if they're not, boom, and it'll take out the main 200 amp, even 400 amp breaker like it ain't nothing. They had some Amish people wire up the ice cream machine.
You've been in this long enough. You're gonna break something, and
Yep.
you're gonna set an alarm off, and you're gonna evacuate a building. It's gonna happen eventually, unfortunately.
Yep.
But
I mean,
you just got to be prepared for it and try to catch up with that before it happens. But
Yeah.
I saw Chris's video, and yes, they screwed up. Luckily, he was on site when it happened, so he was able to save a lot of their equipment, because otherwise compressors would have been sitting there single phasing for Lord knows how long.
was this in one of his recent videos, or which one was it?
Yeah, it was a more recent video. I can't remember the name of it.
He says the same thing. He don't watch other people's stuff. I'm so far behind on watching anybody else's stuff, and it's just like I don't think any of us watch each other's stuff half the time. It just depends. You just get
It's
so
hard. It's how much you got time for. I like to, even if I'm not watching, I like to listen to some, and I'll put it on in the van if I'm driving or something, because we get a lot of drive time. Honestly, that's something I've thought about too, man. It needs to be. We need the Lost Art of Steam Heating on tape. Can we get Dan Houlihan to narrate that and just read it to us so I can turn it on the radio and listen when I'm driving?
And that's why I told her. I said, you need to listen to this guy. I said, I learned a bunch of crap about New York buildings that I didn't even know.
He's a very, very good storyteller, and he has a really good way of capturing your attention very early on, and it kind of gets you hooked. And I'm not in the trade or interested. I mean, I work in labor and delivery, and yeah, I was captivated by it.
I have potentially
he's
something
really
in
good.
my thumb that's kind of making this weird knot. She wants to take a razor blade and slice it
It's
open,
a
and
10
she
blade.
thinks it's just a metal shaving in my thumb,
It's encapsulated because it's a foreign body.
and she thinks that my body's just rejecting it, and she thinks she can just yank it out, which it's gotten thicker. And
I'm
it
not
don't
going to
hurt
yank
now.
it out. I'm going to squeeze it out.
She wants to slice my thumb open
I'm going
in
to
the bendy spot.
I'm going to make a little tiny nick. It's going to be iced up, and then you're not even going to feel it when I nick it.
And it ain't gonna heal for crap either.
It'll be fine.
It's my thumb. I use it to
It'll
pick
be
stuff
fine.
up. Tomorrow I'll be in Greece.
You got to do what you got to do sometimes, but the bendy part of your fingers are not the best place to have anything.
No, it's never going to heal right. It's kind of like getting a vasectomy. You know, that little squishy bag there doesn't like to heal back together either. You know, it's like, yeah, I remember how well that didn't work out. So, yeah.
Well, how about I squeeze that area while I make the nick so you won't feel it?
If you have the other area in other places, then maybe we could probably work out a deal.
No.
Okay. So, yeah, it's just one of them things. But
Arctic Mike Coward, Rick? Yes, he is. He's a big baby.
I've taken off almost the whole side of my thumb with a knife because I decided I was going to cut towards myself. So yeah, I've whacked off a good chunk of my thumb before.
He's a wimp.
I didn't cry.
Been in this trade long enough. You've drilled a hole in your fingernail to relieve the pressure at some point when you smashed it with something.
Or you ran the screw into it. How many times have you been? Yeah. Yeah, I got doggone close. You figure you can feel it poking on the other side. You're like, I probably got my fingers right. Or how many times you were screwing onto something and it spun in your hand and cut you that way. So, yeah. All kinds of little gizmo gadget thingies that you learn to use your pliers for and stuff like that. So, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, we're at an hour and 43 minutes. I think we could probably wrap this thing up. You said you usually go to bed here for long anyhow. And we've had pretty good turnout and things like that. Guys, make sure you check him out. His channel link is in the description down below, Everything HVACR. And check him out. Give his videos a shot if you haven't watched them and stuff. Everything's good that I've seen so far. So check it out and subscribe to him and check him out. So if you want to hang out for a little,
thank you.
Yeah, if you want to hang out for a minute, I'll like close this thing out and we can finish up afterwards. But
Cool.
I just want to thank you for coming on and stuff and spending some time with us and
Yeah, it was
getting to know
fun.
you and things like that. It was fun, and we'll have to do it again. But
Anytime.
I appreciate everyone else out there stopping in. We're gonna wrap this turd up and flush it,
Or flushing the turd.
flushing the turd down, and we are going to catch you guys on the next one.
Nope, I gotta find my thing.
She ain't ready to go.
I had to find my button.
Push the button.
I got the button.
Later, guys.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye. Thanks now. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye.
I want to see motion, movement. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Okay?
Bye-bye.
Take care.
Bye-bye.